Morning, the International Energy Agency cutting its forecast for the 2020 oil demand by more than 8 million barrels per day, citing what's calling a treacherous path ahead amid weakening market sentiment and the surge, of course, in coronavirus cases globally. Joining us on all of this and so much more is Dan Yergin, Vice Chairman of IHS Markit and author of The New Map, Energy, Climate, and the Clash of Nations, which is out today. Daniel, congratulations. Thank you for joining us this morning. Let's talk about the
opportunity to talk to be.
Well, I'm glad that we could do that together, and I want to talk about the book in just a moment. But I also want to talk, if we could, about the state of the oil markets, given where we are and what the expectations are for the price of oil, and what you think that means geopolitically for so many countries around the world right now.
If we start with the price of oil, the OPEC countries are coming back with more production. Inventories are high. But the big thing out there, Andrew, is, of course, the resurgence of the virus. And it's a country like India, which is very important for demand, is in bad shape. The only country that's doing well right now from a virus point of view really is China, where demand is coming back. But our number had been pretty close to what the IEA has come up with, that this year demand will be about 92 million barrels a day compared to over 100 million barrels a day last year.
And though, in terms of where you think the price lands, let's say 12, 18 months out, and what does a country like Saudi Arabia do? What do you think the true implications are for sort of the power grab that or the power grab that happens or doesn't happen during this period?
Well, I think that for countries that are highly dependent on oil, like Saudi Arabia, this is a lot of pressure. It puts pressure on their budget. It sets back their plans for Vision 2030. It's a big hit for Russia, which depends upon, in normal times, 40-50% of its budget from oil and gas. So for the exporting countries and for the companies, it's tough. When it seemed to be in the 40s, going to the 50s, people started to have a sigh of relief. But now it's down to under 40 again, reflecting these factors.
The president was in California yesterday, in the wake of these wildfires. There was a clip going around about conversation about science and climate change and whatnot. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, in this book of yours, there's an anecdote about the number of Teslas on the street and the implications for oil. And I'm curious whether you think that the electric cars really are changing things as fast as you thought they would, because that was the one piece of it I was confused about, whether you think this is happening faster or actually much slower than you thought.
Well, I think in Silicon Valley it's happening faster. But I think if you look at the growth numbers for EVs, they're still a very small part of the overall mix. And at least the view that we have is we'll go from today, we have about 1.4 billion cars in the world, 2 billion by 2050. Maybe 600-700 million of them will be EVs. The rest will be either hybrids or gasoline-powered. I think the one wild card is what governments do and the pressure. For instance, the EU, European governments will put penalties on automobile companies unless they push out EVs, and that would be something that would accelerate it.
What about the trucking business? We were talking about Nikola just a moment ago before the commercial break. I mean, you would imagine that the trucking business would play a huge role in this, and yet also, again, probably moving much more slowly than the kind of we might have expected, given some of the conversations that were happening even several years ago.
Absolutely. With trucks, they need more power, and the question is, can you really get them from batteries and do that? So I think trucking, it's going to be slower. Obviously, Nikola is trying to be out there like Tesla was several years ago, but it's easier to do an electric car than a large electric truck.